Why is Ryan the only child of a superhero to ever develop powers? Ryan Butcher is one of the most compelling characters in the Boys universe, and is incredibly unique for a few different reasons. Not only does his power seem to rival that of Homelander, his father, but in Season 2, Stormfront tells him that he is the world's
first natural-born superhero.
Upon first glance, this seems to be the case, but when we take a closer look, this becomes a lot more complicated since other superheroes have children as well. So why is this? Why is Homelander the only superhero to have a child with powers when nobody else seems to be able to? Well, stick with us today, fellow superheroes in training, and let's discuss this idea. In the world of the Boys, we know that Stormfront herself had children after her injection of Compound V, and we know this because her procedure is how she met Frederick Vought, who would become the father of these children. We also learned that Victoria Newman has a daughter as well, but neither mention their children having powers despite being powerful supes in their own right. Newman in particular actually injects her daughter with Compound V with the hope of giving her powers to defend herself, showing that she did not have powers to begin with despite her mother being a supe. So far, there is actually only one other superhero aside from Homelander that we know of who has a child with the same power. In the new Boys spin-off show Gen V, we are introduced to an RA named Maverick, who typically appears completely invisible. We know thanks to Translucent's funeral that he had a son also named Maverick.
Tell my son Maverick that I love him.
And it seems as if this RA in the show is the son of the former Seven member. One possible explanation for this is that Maverick was injected with Compound V as an infant at his father's request, and it impacted his DNA in the same way that it once did Translucent himself, since they are genetically similar. After all, Translucent would have been in a perfect place for his son to receive a transfusion of V, and could have even personally requested it. While this can't be confirmed just yet, Stormfront doesn't seem to pay Maverick any attention, indicating that she either doesn't know of this situation, or knows that he's not a natural-born supe. We are inclined to believe the latter simply because a natural-born superhero would be huge news among the superhero community. As Vought's former wife and eventual Seven member, Stormfront likely would have been keeping her eye on the Seven and their progress for many years. So it's perfectly reasonable that Stormfront knew about Maverick and knew that he wasn't a natural-born supe. Given this evidence, the answer seems to come down to Homelander himself, and something unique with his genetic material. Since Ryan has the same laser eyes, super strength, and ability to fly, it seems pretty obvious that his powers come directly from Homelander. So what makes Homelander unique, and why is he the only hero that seems to have passed his powers down to a son? Homelander's situation seems to be that he wasn't born the same way as other supes were, in that he was quite literally grown and made in a lab. In Season 3, it was revealed that Soldier Boy was asked to donate a sample of his genetic material.
Vogelbaum made a kid, born spring 1981.
And he later learns that Dr. Vogelbaum used it to make a child who would one day grow into Homelander. This means that Homelander was born directly from other super material rather than being injected with Compound V as an infant. A departure from almost every other superhero in the world of the Boys. The standard procedure for creating supes is for Vought to approach families with newborn children and make them an offer they cannot refuse.
How old was I when you let Vought pump me full of drugs?
They will pay for the medical costs and offer the families the chance at an extraordinary life in exchange for injecting the children with Compound V. But supes are more times than not born as regular people to regular lives and regular families. The infants start as humans before they undergo the procedure, whereas Homelander was never human. Since other superheroes have normal children, this seems to suggest that Compound V is not hereditary and can't be passed down genetically. It appears, however, that Dr. Vogelbaum has found a way to conquer this hurdle, and more specifically, that he found a way to give a superhero powers from conception. If this is true, then Ryan is not actually the first example of passing Compound V down genetically, but instead, Homelander is. Right now, Compound V alters a human being's existing genetics in order to grant them powers, but Vogelbaum was somehow able to bake this into Homelander's very DNA, as he was still developing as a fetus. This is the key to Ryan's extraordinary power. Now, Compound V might officially be hereditary, and it might soon make superpowers a heritable trait that can be passed down from one member of the family to another. If this is true, then at some point in the near future, artificial superheroes could become a thing of the past. This also might serve to explain why these two seem to be head and shoulders above the rest of the superhero community in terms of their power levels. In Season 3, we see Homelander actually engage in combat with other Supes, something that wasn't prevalent in Seasons 1 and 2. For the most part of the 2 seasons, Homelander sauntered around and relied on his heat vision to do most of the dirty work, never actually having to throw punches with someone who could take it. In Season 3 though, this changed, and showed just how powerful Homelander is, as we are able to analyze his power level a bit more accurately. During the first fight, it took a Temp V enhanced Butcher, Soldier Boy, and Huey to subdue him. Soldier Boy on his own was the strongest superhero before Homelander's birth, and was regarded as the only Supe to ever stand a chance against Homelander himself. In the finale, Maeve is able to keep pace with Homelander after months of training, but even with all of this combat practice specifically for Homelander, she is only able to make some superficial wounds before being beaten. She trained for months, whereas Homelander has never trained a single day in his life, and she was still pummeled into the ground and lost an eye in the process. Ryan, however, seems to be even more powerful than this. In Season 2, we see Homelander use his laser vision on Stormfront. We can see that it burns and chars her skin, but doesn't break it, and she is ultimately able to recover from it. At first he is hesitant, but then he seems to get into it. When Ryan later uses his laser vision on Stormfront though, he absolutely demolishes her. He severs her legs and one of her arms, causing severe permanent burns all across her body. Many have taken this as firm evidence that Ryan's laser vision is more powerful than Homelander's, and it seems to be due to their unique development as individuals that sets them apart from the others. Not only does Ryan have the potential to have a child with powers himself, but if this logic tracks, then Ryan's child could potentially, and in theory, be more powerful than either Homelander or Ryan himself. But at this point, this is only theory, and we really have no idea what the upper levels of Ryan's powers really are, or if they can even compete with Homelander at all. One thing is for certain though, Homelander is extremely special even among Supes, and now so is his son in Ryan. But anyway, my friends, thanks so much for visiting the channel today. What are your thoughts on this, and what are your thoughts on the upper levels of Ryan Butcher? Do you think that he could one day compete with Homelander or not? And will the powers only continue to grow the more children and time passes? As always, my friends, I hope that you're having an amazing day, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.